There are arrivals that grab attention for a night, and there are arrivals that force the sport itself to change how it draws diagrams on the whiteboard. Victor Wembanyama arrived as the latter.
Wembanyama. Oh, goes back! Oh, no! And puts it down! Oh, my! Blocked by Wemby! Blocked again by Wemby! Get it out of here!
A 7-foot-plus frame that moves like a wing, a handle that feels like a guard's, a shooting touch that teases spacing maps, and a defensive range that remakes opponents' playbooks. This is a single, flowing story, not a punchy highlight list, that traces the arc from his earliest steps in France to the reality he now imposes on the NBA. A prototype, a problem set, and a promise all at once. He began in the familiar geography of modern European development. Youth gyms, national circuits, the kind of early professional minutes that teach a teenager how to survive playing against grown men. France's development system gave him competitions and responsibility. His family's athletic background supplied balance and coordination rather than mere length. Those foundations were visible on film. Balance through contact, a surprising softness around the rim, and the rare coordination for a player whose height alone would intimidate scouts. He did not arrive in the NBA as a project with potential. He arrived as a player whose upside was visible in live game tape and whose instincts had been schooled against adult competition. The Spurs made him the #1 pick in 2023, a choice that announced the league's willingness to bet on a new positional grammar. That draft night was a hinge. San Antonio chose a player whose maximum upside was unclear, but whose unique blend of tools forced a franchise's identity to bend toward him. From the first practices to preseason scrimmage, the conversation shifted from how high is his ceiling to what exactly will the league become if he reaches it. The Spurs, historically patient, methodical, defensive-minded, fit him with developmental patience and structure, and the two became a laboratory, a franchise that would learn to protect a young, oversized athlete while leveraging his gifts to change how the game was defended and attacked. From the start, Wembanyama's impact was twofold: immediate and schematic. Immediate because he produced box score measures that mattered: points, rebounds, blocks, in volumes young bigs rarely command so early. Schematic because his mere presence altered opponents' choices. Teams could no longer approach lineups with the same assumptions. Closeouts had to be faster, spacing plans had to account for a big who could step out and shoot, and pick-and-roll coverages required new compromises. He denied shots not just with raw blocks, but by changing the angles of shots before they were taken. His length altered opponents' shot selection across the half-court, pushing some attempts back to the perimeter and others into contested, lower percentage areas. These were not aesthetic victories, they were quantifiable shifts in opponent efficiency and in the Spurs' defensive housing stats. The rookie year racked up evidence. He dominated defensive box scores, swatting and altering shots at a rate that made opponents think twice about straight-line drives. He posted scoring and rebounding numbers that turned headlines into habit, and the Rookie Award recognized that the experimental pick had become productive in a league context. Regular season games, live defenses, relentless schedules. But the real signature wasn't merely block totals, it was the change in opponent behavior. Fewer drives into the paint, more kickouts, different late clock choices, the kind of strategic concessions that only a legitimate two-way anchor forces. Those concessions produce secondary advantages: more open threes for teammates, safer rotations, and a defensive backbone that allowed role players to play more aggressively elsewhere. On offense, the early film made even veteran coaches pause. He could catch at the elbow, pivot, and either measure a pocket pass or step back and knock down a jumper. He could handle in space, institute a pick and roll as ball handler or as screener, and then slip to the rim or pop for a three. That functional versatility turned him into a mismatch creation engine. Small lineups found their fronts overwhelmed at the rim. Traditional bigs found themselves stretched to chase perimeter shots. Defensive schemes that had once contented themselves with leaving the roll man open were suddenly being punished by an interior passer or a sweet feathered perimeter shot. The offensive benefit was not pure scoring, it was the multiplication of options whenever he touched the ball. San Antonio's coaching and medical staff learned fast that his body required a bespoke calendar. Long limbs and tall frames bring unique structural stress. Load management, targeted strength programs, and recovery protocols were not optional but imperative. The Spurs process, cautious minutes increases, built-in recovery windows, and micro-conditioning became the quiet engineering behind his biggest on-court leaps. That engineering also produced debate. How much do you play a transcendent talent now versus protecting him for a longer arc? The Spurs chose a middle path, give him real exposure to develop instincts while inserting guardrails to protect his long-term athletic baseline. The result, production that felt like it had matured without the career-threatening tolls that can come from overuse at early ages. There were nights that announced his ceiling unmistakably, a sequence where he steps out to hit a corner triple, sprints back to reject a dunk, and then immediately converts a floater on the next possession, distilled the threat he poses. Rim-to-arc impact with recovery speed, uncommon for a player his size. Other games showed an interior dominance, drop-step finishes through contact, offensive rebounds turned into second-chance points, and an ability to clean the glass at both ends that changed end-of-quarter strategizing for opponents. Those nights were punctuations, but their accumulation is what matters. When a team repeatedly faces a single player who can stretch, protect, and finish, that player isn't just a star. He becomes an axis. Against the legends of the past and the phenoms of the present, Wembanyama's profile invites comparisons that illuminate rather than reduce. The obvious parallels are to the oldest big men who changed the game. Wilt, Kareem, Hakeem, because Wembanyama shares with them a degree of interior dominance and statistical footprint. But the comparison breaks down in useful ways. Those players mostly operated inside the paint. Victor operates across it. To Yao Ming, one might compare the vertical deterrent and the uncanny soft touch, but Victor's mobility and handling put him closer to a hybrid between a perimeter creator and a rim protector. Against a Kevin Durant reference, note the left-handed touch, the shooting elasticity, and the ability to create space from odd angles. But Victor's rim protection and blocking range are not Durant's primary assets. Against Anthony Davis, there are echoes of two-way modernness, mobility paired with interior craft. But Wembanyama's perimeter handle and early three-point range expand that comparison into a larger possibility. The key point: each comparison helps define what parts of history Victor inherits and which parts he reconfigures. He is not a copy of anyone. He recombines elements historically separated across positions. Defensive schematics had to evolve. Before his arrival, teams often scheduled certain possessions for high-percentage finishes by accepting small risks elsewhere. With Victor in the equation, accepting those risks became costly. Teams began adjusting, more aggressive horizon closeouts favoring stretch bigs who could guard him out to the arc, or inserting quicker switch lineups to avoid single matchup disasters. Opponents experimented with zone fronts and drop coverage schemes designed to limit his paint swats, but those counters invited perimeter burning. The result was iterative chess. Wembanyama's presence forced trade-offs every game. A defense that chose to fight him at the rim often got punished from deep. A defense that sagged found itself losing paint supremacy. Those trade-offs were the new grammar of paint economics in the modern NBA. The Spurs' season thread was not only about an individual learning, but a franchise adapting. San Antonio's identity, patient, development first, structurally sound, pivoted subtly toward maximizing this extraordinary asset. Draft boards shifted, trades attempted to collect shooters who could space the floor, defensive role players were targeted to clean the paint when he was out or resting. Market effects followed, ticket sales, viewing figures, and the local economy of attention swelled. But the Spurs did not let commercial wins dictate minutes. Their priority stayed on sustainable growth. That balance, business and biomechanics, is the real craftsman's work behind any super-talented prospect's long career. He is also a global event. France's basketball profile rose with him as its standard bearer. European leagues could now credibly claim the development pipeline as capable of producing not just NBA-ready players, but league-altering prototypes. For young players in Europe and beyond, his path suggested a diversity of routes to NBA success. Not simply NCAA to draft, but professional minutes in the teenage years as a viable, even preferable laboratory for certain players. The NBA's international footprint benefited. Sponsorships, TV deals, and youth interest in non-American markets ballooned when a player of his profile captured global imagination. There were reasonable critiques that appeared quickly and needed addressing. Extreme size introduces fragility risks, tendon strains, calf or knee trouble, and muscular imbalances can sideline careers before they peak. The Spurs medical team and coaching staff introduce low capping and recovery routines to mitigate these risks, but the scrutiny remains a real variable in projecting long-term greatness. Additionally, isolation defenses could exploit moments where his perimeter quickness lagged against smaller, lightning-quick guards. Quickness is relative, and some offensive sets purposefully forced him into lateral shuffles he preferred to avoid. None of these issues are kill switches, they are engineering challenges. Great franchises solve them with training regimens, roster design, and smart minute allocation. The Spurs' early moves suggested they understood that necessity. The playbook of micro moments provides the most persuasive evidence of his unique value. Consider a late clock scenario. He receives the ball at the top of the key. A defensive drop shepherds help to his side. He steps back, pulls the rim defender out, and with a 2-inch gap, threads a left-handed lob to a rolling center. Or alternatively, he uses a step-through to bait the closeout and convert a floater. Those possessions look improvised in real time, but are actually the product of repeated rep-based rehearsal. His eyes anticipate help before it commits, and his body is trained to exploit the millimeter of space that results. That anticipation is what separates a talented athlete from an architect of advantage. Single-game flashes packed with highlight potential created the cultural moments people replay on feeds, chase down rejections that become viral, step-back threes from the logo that baffle commentators, and unconventional finishes through traffic that read like physics defied. But the long-game story is subtler. His presence increases teammates' open shot rates, forces rotations that produce second-chance points, and lifts defensive metrics when he is available. In the simplest terms, he alters expected points per possession across most minutes he plays. Those are not cosmetic impacts. They are the algebra of winning. Comparisons must multiply to be meaningful. Put him next to Bill Russell and you think defense-first winningness. Next to Wilt, you notice raw, shot-altering capability and unassailable dominance in certain box score columns. Next to Kareem, you find touch and post-Arsenal similarities. To Yao, you see international narrative and center-of-the-court spectacle. To Kevin Durant, you notice an uncanny smoothness to perimeter scoring from a height. Against modern bigs like Nikola Jokic, the contrast is philosophical. Jokic is an interior architect who creates offense via passing and post vision. Victor expands offense by being dangerous everywhere, inside, mid-range, and out, while simultaneously being the best deterrent against interior scoring. Against Giannis, consider the difference in motor. Giannis attacks with brute engine and downhill force. Victor alters the map by being a rim collector who can also punish the space defense. These comparisons do not aim to settle who is greater. They illuminate the puzzle pieces Victor contains and the spaces he remakes. The narrative arc will always be incomplete without the human details. He is a player who trains with intent, records film sessions like homework, and rehearses the repetitions that make improvisation reliable. He endures the quiet work, extra shooting drills in the morning, targeted mobility work in the afternoon, ice baths, strength sessions, and the daily recalibration with medical staffs. These are not glamorous, but they are the skeleton beneath the highlight skin. Greatness at this level is not only a talent story, it is a relentless work story, day after day, season after season. And then there is the cultural pressure that comes with early greatness. With global attention and market forces come narratives, in both celebratory and skeptical, that create a second life for a player's reputation independent of performance. The Spurs and Victor have navigated that landscape with a steadier hand than many expected. Manage expectations publicly, let performance speak privately, and ensure development isn't sacrificed to spectacle. That discipline has immediate payoff. The player grows while the market appreciates the depth of his game, rather than the viral peaks alone. For the league, the arrival of such a multi-tool big forces different structural reactions. Front offices reevaluate scouting priorities, rookie development programs borrow European models, and media cycles split time between fetishizing the freakish nightly plays and analyzing the long-term roster design consequences. Victor's presence catalyzes conversations about how the modern NBA should be built, which players are valuable, which skills are rarer, and how teams can economize risk. The most persuasive, plain language assessment is simple. Victor Wembanyama is the rare player who rewrites schematic assumptions. He forces coaches to recalibrate defense, forces general managers to rethink construction, forces scouts to revisit developmental pipelines, and forces teammates to learn new rhythms. That magnitude of influence is rare. Not every transcendent talent alters the league's basic operating manual. He already has. The rest of the story depends on durability, adaptation to targeted countermeasures, and the Spurs' continued ability to design a team that exploits his blend of size and skill. When the highlight reels fade and the box scores settle into history, how will the story read? The answer will depend on seasons yet unwritten, how long he remains healthy, how the Spurs, or any team that shares his court, build around him, and how opposing teams continue to evolve their counters. For now, though, the evidence is plain and cinematic. A unique early career blend of rim protection, perimeter creation, and shot making that already forces the NBA to draw different diagrams. He is both a present engine and a future hypothesis, the kind of player whose continued development could define a generation. End the sequence with a single private image, late floor lights in a San Antonio practice gym, Victor alone with the ball, moving through the 100th repetition of a footwork drill, breath measured, eyes narrowed, hands finding touches only the repeatable mind can trust. That picture is the quiet engine of all the viral nights to come. The world watches the rejections, the threes, the step backs, but the championships and the long arc will be decided in repetitions just like that one. Victor Wembanyama changed the game's questions. Opponents now ask how to stop a 7-foot artist who shoots like a wing, protects like a center, and moves like neither prototype fully. Coaches now ask how to build rosters that multiply his unique advantages rather than hide them. Scouts now ask which teenagers in gyms across the globe can combine coordination, touch, and length in the way he did. Those are the real consequences of his arrival. He is not just a player we watch, he is a tectonic shift in how basketball thinks about size, skill, and the architecture of winning.